on boards, whether quotas are in or not, is a very difficult topic. And interestingly enough, I did a bit of research, and I watched some videos online, and all of the women who were against the motion actually are very active in supporting women in their roles, in their day-to-day lives. So their positioning wasn't about, I'm against women on boards, I'm just against quotas.
First, I'm delighted to be here, but at the same time, I don't want to be here. Because we have spoken about this for the past decade. About 10 years ago, we had the exact same debate. Fast track, probably 15 years, I was an 8 years old little girl in a garden. And I had this beautiful dress in this beautiful garden, and I wanted to quickly climb the tree. And my mom said, hold me back by the dress and said, no, don't climb the tree. You're going to hurt yourself, but you're also going to spoil your dress. And I started to cry, and she felt pity for me, and she literally took me and put me on the tree. What I'm trying to say today is that I'm here. My name is Mina Paul. I am regional head for consumer, digital, and D&I. For Russell Reynolds, I've been here for 15 years, and I don't want to help women go on top of the tree. I want them to climb the tree alone.
My name is Aisha Sultan. It's quite interesting when Tarek called me and said, will you come and do the debate, and you're on the against side. I said to him, I write articles, I speak about this for the last 10 plus years. Why on earth would you put me on the against side? But what's going to be interesting today, I hope, is just to share with you some of the readings and findings. And it certainly made my mind open as to, there are deeper things going on here. So I hope that I can present that to you. Just in terms of background, I'm a fellow and chartered director from the Institute of Directors in the UK. I'm a fellow and advisory board member of the GCC Board Directors Institute as well, which focuses on corporate governance training here and in Saudi. And so I've been on boards for about 11 years now. I got my first opportunity in the UAE, but then I was also in the UK, and I've kind of seen different boards in a variety of industries.
My mother in the north of Germany said, climb up the tree and jump. And I broke my arm, and I spent 4 weeks in hospital. And she said, you should never trust me that way. German, lived and graduated in France at Sciences Po and INSEAD, and then went quite early off to Russia. My first profession, I'm a steel trader, steel production steel trader, and then I used to be 26 years CEO of Russian companies, and now, since 8 years, being on supervisory boards, still on 2 Russian mandates. I'm the vice chairman of MTS, stock listed in New York, and we are #1 telecom operator in Eastern Europe.
Hi, my name is Reka. It's probably worth saying that I started my thought process on that side of the table because I also felt it was discriminatory and degrading of experience, but I have come to learn and believe that if we want to make lasting change, that we have to overcorrect. My background is I was an early employee at Amazon in UK, in noughties. I was there for some of their formative years. And then I left to start my own venture, which I loved and I thought would give me work-life balance. And for anyone in the room that has ventured, I'm pleased people are laughing because that's a mistake that you make only once. But that sort of foray into creating and building my own venture sort of set me on this path for 10 years to want to enable others to do the same. Nothing changes without a push. And all the while that, sorry, I'm thinking about a former slide, that since we're talking about women on boards, I'll use that terminology, all the while that they remain the minority, it will always remain that way because it's the outlier. There's lots of evidence around hiring biases. We saw the entire gap from your pyramid, Tarek, and we've got an imbalance in the hiring process. So unless we overcorrect the hiring process, the gaps at the top and the trickle-down effect isn't going to happen. And so I'm very much in support of an intervention and then for natural state of play to take over from there.
Nobody wants to be a quota. Nobody wants to enter for the first time a boardroom and around the table, all the board members identifying you with a big Q on the forehead. You're losing your credibility. So there are several impacts, a negative impact of setting quota. And by the way, Tariq, thank you very much for challenging my thoughts. I was actually 4 before coming here. And I had to shift. And I studied, like Aisha, I studied a lot. And I changed my mind. Why? Because after 10 years, quota, by definition, are temporary. We should not have them anymore. We basically prescribe the medication for 10 years. So enough, we need to have more robust and more sustainable solution. We need to go at the root cause of bringing women on board. We need to stop because it creates resentment within the boardroom. I've discussed with many men who will remain anonymous, who were angry because they were not appointed, yet they were highly qualified for the position. And they were told, yes, you're highly qualified, but you're not a woman. So guess what happens? When that board welcomes that woman is set for failure. Because guess what? She needs to build up relationships. That's the first thing that she needs to do. How she's going to build relationship with a board that is not welcoming her.
How would you justify to a gentleman who's sitting in front of you that he can't have that position though he's qualified, and you're having to give it to a woman, and not want him to walk away and think that diversity is slanted against him?
My answer would be diversity. So that means nationalities, cultural backgrounds. Our board at the moment is currently with 8 independent directors. We have 7 different nationalities from different continents. And I would explain also to the candidate, the qualification is key. So here we need to be fair. And of course, if we have a woman not as qualified as, and I'm also chairman of a remuneration committee, I would not take her. And then I would try to find a better candidate, which is sort of more and better qualified, agreeing to your point, that we are the first generation who had all the possibilities. So now we have to, out of demographics, we have to push this temporarily, but not disqualifying and going back. Mina said it very beautifully on the root. No, Aisha said it on the root cause analysis.
In the UAE, we have 1 board member. In Oman, 1 female board member. I'm on several boards, and I totally agree with Regina and the team here. Is the one's not enough. They just get isolated. So minimum 2, and I've done board training programs for women, and exactly the same thing. All of the research proves that. So why do we just have 1 in the UAE? Why do we just have 1 in Saudi Arabia? Why 1? Either do it or you don't. In the UAE, we do everything right. We have the highest percentage of women in positions of seniority. The CEOs, ministers, 65% of graduates are women. They are extremely well respected and well regarded. Why are we stuck with 1 position on the board? I think that's a rhetorical question for all of you to sort of say, what do we need to do here to reach out to our UAE government colleagues and sort of say, guys, please make it 2?
And I think Regina kind of mentioned this, is cultures do differ, and I think don't underestimate how cultures and how that plays a massive role.
Sure.
I mean, as I said, when I was reading, UK, Finland, and Sweden decided that if you impose quotas and sanctions, nobody will do it, nobody likes it, soft policy has to work. France, Belgium, Norway, Scandinavia, they were more happy to push it down. They're all, it's all European, and yet even within the individual countries within Europe. So I think, it's a case of culture. It's also about bringing people along the journey with you. So if you've gone from 0 to 1, that's a positive step. If you go from 0 to 5, as I said, I was always
I love it. Move over.
But ultimately, as I said, you're only ticking, whether it's 1, whether it's 5, whether we get them up to a point where they're knocking on the door, and ultimately they will be knocking on the door, and they will be saying, why am I not sitting on that board?
So, as per the people who voted and entertaining discussion, we've gone from 54-46 to 52-48, which basically means that quotas are marginally ahead. And congratulations to the team on my left for winning this.